Well, this morning I've got a nice, short, simple message from Our Lady about the desperate need of prayer in today's world. So here goes. My children, with tears and an aching heart, I implore you to turn to my Son Jesus and to pray. My little ones, your world is in desperate need of prayer in the same way that a patient in hospital is in need of blood after a severe hemorrhage. Without prayer, my children, you will have no life of the Holy Spirit, and you will be alive physically but dead spiritually. Prayer, my little ones, is the only source of supernatural life that makes you any different from animals. Without prayer, you are not much different than intelligent monkeys, and your lives on earth have no supernatural meaning. My children, you are not animals, and you are made in the image and likeness of God. Jesus became man to bestow on little human beings the riches of the Trinity. You must reject all false teachings that deny the power of prayer and the call to spiritual transformation through prayer. Read the lives of the saints over and over and embrace the road of prayer and suffering, which will lead you to heaven. Well, what to say, only just Our Lady imploring us, aching that we take prayer seriously. And she uses this brilliant image, really. She says prayer is like the blood, it's like the life-saving blood that a person who has maybe been in a car crash or somebody needs, they need an immediate blood transfusion. And without this life-saving blood, this life-saving grace, if you like, that person dies. And it's the same with us when it comes to grace. Grace is the blood, if you like, it's the blood of life that keeps our spiritual lives going. And if we lose all that blood, if we lose all that grace, which happens through sin, then all of a sudden we become lifeless, we become dead. And then Our Lady is saying that without prayer then, in this sort of spiritual death, we wouldn't be much different than intelligent monkeys. And nowadays it's true, you'll hear a lot of people who believe in the theory of evolution and that we evolved from the monkeys. So in other words, a human being is just some sort of an intelligent monkey and basically no real relationship with God and just potters along. And Our Lady is imploring us to realize that that is not who we are. We are human beings made in the image and likeness of God. Jesus became a human being to bestow on human beings the dignity of the Trinity. Even the angels, for example, in heaven, they will never have the same dignity because God didn't become an angel, God became a man. And so as a result, in the life of eternity, men, human beings, we get absorbed into the Trinity, whereas the angels don't. The angels still remain created beings, of course we are as well, but they don't have in them that same life of the Trinity. And so Our Lady is telling us that we are made for so much more. But without prayer, we are no different than these sort of intelligent monkeys. And she's saying we are not animals. You are not animals. And that's why it's dangerous at times in today's society when we hear so much rationalism. We hear so much just ignoring the life of the spirit and just everything is on human terms. And once before when I was praying, I said, Our Lady, if you've got an image for that. And the image she gave me was of birds. And imagine we're all like birds, but we have weak wings. And the reason we have weak wings is because of original sin, because the lack of a relationship with God and all the rest. But with grace and with encouragement, those wings can get strong and we can learn to fly and to fly like an eagle. But imagine, for example, a weak little bird who has weak wings and nobody ever teaches that bird how to fly. In fact, the opposite. They say, flying is ridiculous. You can't fly. You're not a bird. You're just a little mouse and your job is to walk around the earth and look for things mice look for. As a result, the bird, even though it's a bird, would never fly. And that is what it's like for a lot of human beings. We're human beings given wings of the Spirit. Jesus wants to bring us into a relationship with the Holy Spirit. Things like dreams, visions, miracles, a one-on-one personal relationship with Jesus, interaction with the spiritual, gifts, charisms like the apostles, like in the Acts of the Apostles. But yet Satan comes along and says, oh, no. You can't do that. None of that is for you. No, you're just a mere little human being, not much different than an ape or not much different than a monkey. And just be a good little person down here, eat your bananas, do your work, and that's it. And as a result, people are losing, just like the bird who has wings that will never learn to fly. So many human beings have got these spiritual wings and will never learn to pray, will never learn to be saints, will never learn actually that when Jesus talks about prayer and suffering, it's the suffering that basically that little bird needs to go through to strengthen its wings. It's the suffering that actually will free it. And so when Jesus talks about suffering, it's the suffering that our souls need to go through to break through the blockages, that prevent us from having a deeper union with God. And so Our Lady says, you must reject all false teaching that deny the power of prayer and the call to spiritual transformation through prayer. In other words, you must deny everything that gives you the easy road. Deny everything that says, oh no, you'll all be right, you all care for animals, there's no such thing as God, don't bother praying, don't take it too seriously, everybody will get to heaven, or whatever. We have to deny all that, and that's why she's saying we have to read the lives of the saints over and over and over, because the lives of the saints give a perfect example of how the power of prayer, the power of suffering, transformed them in the inside and actually gave them freedom, gave them a unity with God, gave them a power, gave them grace, gave them love, gave them understanding, and ultimately now they're in eternity, they're in heaven, and even from there, they're raised up in glory with Jesus, smiling down on us and interceding for us. And so Our Lady is saying that our world is in absolutely desperate need of prayer. And we all hear that at the moment, that things are terrible. People predict different warnings, different chastisements, all these things. Personally, I don't know anything about those things in terms of dates and times, but I do know it's all real. I do know that terrible things and terrible chastisements and terrible times are ahead of us, because people are simply not listening to Jesus and Mary. People are just walking around with their earphones in their ears, and they just do not want to know about prayer. They do not want to know about spiritual transformation, and basically it's all going to fall in on top of them. And so pray, pray, pray. We are not animals. And that's the thing. Jesus so desperately desires us to be ourselves. Again, I'll go back to the image of that little bird. Jesus is looking at that little bird. Imagine the bird again. It doesn't know that it can fly. And so it's roaming around the place. And it doesn't know that if it learned how to flap its wings, it could fly up. It could go from tree to tree. It could go into different countries. It could do all sorts of things. And that's what Jesus is saying. We are made for so much more than some sort of a stupid, materialistic, animal-like life down here and nothing perhaps afterwards. So let us take it seriously. Let us take the call to holiness seriously, the call to prayer seriously, and let us also motivate others, tell others, teach others, be bold, be strong, and also console Our Lady, because Our Lady is so sad to see so many people losing out, so many people wasting their lives, so many people deceived, so many people that perhaps could be great saints, and yet there's nobody there to teach them, nobody there to help them, and instead they're going to become great sinners, and what's going to happen to them? And Our Lady, she wants to teach each and every single one of us to fly and to be free in the Spirit, to know Jesus, to love Jesus, to know God, to love God, to serve God, to know ourselves, and to have the joy, the absolute crazy joy of knowing Jesus and being set free to be the people we are, made in the image and likeness of Jesus, and sanctified and empowered by His grace, the grace that He died to give us. So on that note, have a grace-filled day. Thanks for watching, and let's do our best to motivate others to take this spiritual life seriously, because we only live once, and then we've got all of eternity to reap the benefits, or perhaps to reach the punishment, whichever one we choose. So let's choose wisely and trust Our Lady.